All right, so the notes that we took in class yesterday, basically this is going to be the YouTube video over those. So if you got those yesterday and you understood them while you were in class, great. This is just for those that either weren't in class or might need to be able to hear somebody explain it again, okay? So we're looking at angles, we're looking at angles and triangles and parallel lines. Okay, so let's take a look. First, we're going to look at some triangles. All right, so inside a triangle, there are three angles. These three angles have to equal 180 degrees. So if I took the angle for A and added it to the angle of B and added it to the angle of C, because this is my ABC triangle, if I added all those together, I would get 180 degrees. Okay, if on the inside there's 180 degrees, what we're going to look at also are these outside angles. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back to our triangle. So I've got this triangle, and I'm going to give you an example of a 60, 60, 60 degree. So this is an isosceles triangle. Pretend that all sides are equal. So all my sides are equal, all my angles are equal. Okay? And if you add up 60 plus 60 plus 60, that is 180. So we know that this is a triangle because a triangle has to have 180 degrees on the inside of the triangle for all your angles. Okay? So let's look at what this angle would be. Okay? Well, if I went all the way around, right, that would be 360 degrees. Well, I'm not going quite all the way around. I'm going just from this side of the triangle to that side of the triangle. So what I need to do is I need to take out this much of my all the way around, right, my circle. So we know that that much is 60 degrees. So I'm going to take out 60 degrees from 360. 360 minus 60 gives you that 300. Okay, so this side, the exterior angle of this triangle right here is 300. Well, since all my angles are the same, guess what? All my exterior angles are also the same. So this is going to be 300. This is going to be 300. Okay, degrees. Okay, so on the outside, if I added up all my outside exterior angles, we'd get 300 plus 300 plus 300, which on the outside or exterior angles, we've got 900 degrees. So if you add up all your exterior angles, it has to equal 900 degrees. Okay, so inside is 180, or interior angles of a triangle is 180. The exterior is 900. Okay, now let's look at some parallel lines. So when we're looking at these parallel lines, what we need to understand is that they are exactly parallel, so they never touch. And well, we're going to cut this set of parallel lines by a transversal, which is just a fancy word for a line cutting through these parallel lines. Okay, so we've got this transversal. Okay, and then we've got these parallel lines. Okay, and what we need to know is we need to be able to find, if I'm given this angle here, to be able to find B. Okay, well, A and B are what are called supplementary angles. Okay, and supplementary angles equal 180 degrees. Okay, so a straight line, there's 180 degrees from here to here on a straight line. So if they are supplementary angles, if I add these two up, they have to equal 180. Okay, well, that's part of what we need to know. we also need to know that opposite interior and exterior angles are equal to each other. Okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, here's A, here's B, here's C, here's D. Well, A and D are opposite interior angles. And C and B are opposite interior angles. So guess what? A, if I know what A is, I also know what D is. Okay? So if A was 135 degrees, I could tell you that D is 135 degrees because they are opposite interior angles. So these two are equal, and these two are equal because B and C are opposite interior angles. All right, so we also have E, F, G, and H down here, right? Well, yesterday I showed you guys in class that you could make like a lightning bolt or a Z to help you figure out which ones are equal. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to finish off my Z for both sides. So now if you make that lightning bolt to help you figure out which angles are equivalent or congruent, we can see that B is equal to C is equal to F is equal to G. Because when we look, those are the ones that are lightning bolt hits, basically. And then A is equal to D is equal to E is equal to H, or congruent to H. They're all congruent. Okay. B is congruent to C is congruent to F is congruent to G. And A is congruent to D is congruent to E is congruent to H. Okay. And then if I wanted to, I could actually find what those angles were by doing the supplementary angle stuff. So A was supplementary to B, right? And if A was 135, B we could find by subtracting 135 from 180, because A and B have to equal 180. So I'm going to subtract 135 degrees from 180 to get 45 degrees. So now I know that B is 45 degrees. And if I know that B is 45 degrees, I could tell you that C, F, and G are all 45 degrees. And since I know A is 135 degrees, I could tell you that D, E, and H are also 135 degrees because of supplementary angles have to equal 180. And alternate interior and alternate exterior angles are the same. Okay? The last thing that we looked at yesterday are similar triangles. Okay? So similar. So say I've got this triangle here. And I've got this smaller triangle here. And it is said that they are similar. Clearly, they are dilated because one is bigger than the other. And since they are similar, they're not congruent, so they're dilated. Okay? If they're dilated, we know that there's a scale factor involved, and to go from one to the other, you have to multiply by the scale factor. But we're not worried about that right now. What we're worried about are these angles. So say this is A, B, C, and this is W, N, O. So we've got triangle A, B, C and triangle WNO are similar. So that's what it tells us. So if these two triangles are similar, guess what? The angle that corresponds, so B, and the angle that corresponds, which is N, are congruent. Okay, so B is congruent to N. If you look, yeah, you might think that B was congruent with W. The thing is, you have to go with what it says here. If it says triangle ABC and triangle WNO, well, B goes with N, W goes with A, and C goes with O. Okay? So you got to pay attention to what it tells you. Okay? So A would be congruent to W, and C would be congruent to O. If you noticed how I put those little marks like that inside my angle, that means that if there's one mark, that angle, and the one with the one mark as well is congruent. And the A, when I put two marks, that means A was congruent to W, and since I put 3 marks in C, 3 marks in O tells me that O is congruent to C. Okay? Basically, the corresponding angles are congruent. Okay? That's what we're getting at. The corresponding angles are congruent. I should have done a different one. It should have been NWO to make it less confusing. But that's similar triangles. Make sure everything that corresponds, the corresponding angles are congruent. Okay. All right. That is it. Okay. If you need any more help, let me know. I'm here pretty much every day, so come see me.